Leaders of political parties in Zimbabwe today met with President Emmerson Mnangagwa to discuss a framework on political interaction. Mnangagwa extended the invitation to all those who contested last year's elections. Last month, Zimbabwe was rocked by violent protests due to the worsening economy, a massive fuel price hike and a government communications shutdown. Mnangagwa cut short his international trips to intervene. He had promised to set up the multi-party engagement platform to discuss issues affecting the country. We are now joined on the line by our correspondent, Ephert Musekiwa, for a quick update. Ephert, good evening and thank you so much for joining us. Now, we understand that the first meeting ended a while ago. Give us the latest. What was exactly on the agenda?
Good evening. Yes, indeed. I can confirm that the meeting just concluded and all the parties that took part in the meeting were expressed their joy that they finally had a chance to dialogue. There were almost 22 political parties that were represented in this dialogue meeting. But the main opposition, MDC alliance led by Nelson Chamisa, did not attend, but the rest of the parties that took part in the elections last year were present. We did speak to some of the leaders who said that this is they were happy with the opportunity to be able to speak to the president, to speak about current issues that are affecting the country, issues about the economy, issues about the current social environment where there's a lot of violence in the suburbs across the country, and that they had a chance to actually air out their grievances to President Emmerson Mnangagwa.
Now, one of the main opposition leaders, as you've just mentioned, Nelson Chamisa and his party, were not party to these discussions. Has there been any reason given to this regard?
Earlier on during the day, the party did issue out a press statement saying that there were certain conditions that they wanted President Emmerson Mnangagwa to acknowledge, or there were certain conditions, preconditions that they wanted met first before they could dialogue. And they're saying that this is not a dialogue, but just a mere politicking or just a show for the cameras. And they say that until President Mnangagwa removes the military and the police from the streets of the country, they were not yet ready to dialogue until some of the people that have been arrested on charges of violence or inciting violence were released, or some of the activists were released, that they would not dialogue with President Mnangagwa until such conditions have been met.
Has there been any response from President Mnangagwa's government or governing party? And just looking at the meeting between the president and the opposition leaders taking place amid a continuing public sector strike, what's the latest? Any reaction to MDC opposition demands and what's taking place on the ground in Zimbabwe?
When the question was posed to President Mnangagwa about the absence of the opposition, he said it is there. He had actually invited the opposition to be part of this dialogue, but they had the democratic right whether to accept or not to accept. So they took the route of not accepting. So he says he has no control over that. Regarding the strike, nothing was said or nothing was communicated. Even we tried to get comment yesterday from the government, who actually said they were working on some incentives for the civil servants. They were working on non-monetary incentives for the striking teachers so that they would, lessen the burden on them, or increase their buying power. So really, there hasn't been nothing beyond the mere fact that they announced that they are working on non-monetary incentives for the striking civil servants.
Ephert, we'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you so much for joining us. That is our correspondent in Zimbabwe, Ephert Musekiwa, just giving us an update on that meeting that took place earlier today.